Second, we shall explore those benefits. We will turn to our attention to structural complications. We will carefully examine the deep entrenched problems hidden within these systems. I'll explain concepts like algorithmic bias and a systemic absence of people with disabilities voices during initial design phases. And finally, the third part, I will explain why human beings and specifically people with disabilities themselves must be kept firmly in the loop of all AI development. Let us start with the positive transformations. AI is rapidly becoming a highly practical everyday tool for accessibility. This is happening in multiple regions across the globe, and we are seeing massive localized advancement right here in India. I was first to direct your attention to the tools available for individuals who are blind or express low vision. For this community, several high sophisticated digital tools have successively moved from experimental ideas to things people use every day. One of the most widely adopted examples is the smartphone application called Be My Eyes. Historically, this application was quite simple but very effective. It worked by connecting a visually impaired user via live video feed on their phone with sighted volunteers located somewhere else in the world. The volunteer would simply look through the camera and tell the user what they were seeing. But recently, developers have added AI feature to this, and this has completely revolutionized how the platform is used. The mechanics of this new AI feature are remarkably simple. The user takes a photograph using their smartphone camera. Immediately, the integrated AI analyzes that image, then it speaks out loudly, describing what the picture using very clear, highly descriptive language. But the interaction doesn't stop at basic description. The user can actually have a back and forth conversation with AI. They can be very highly specific follow up questions. Imagine a person standing in a kitchen holding a packet of food. Take a picture. AI tells you, does the food have peanuts in it? Or imagine they are looking at a restaurant menu. They ask, what are the vegetarian options? They hold up a shirt and ask, is the shirt navy blue or black? And then so on and so forth. The application simply answers instantly. It is entirely free and it's expanding its availability across multiple languages. Then Microsoft has developed another app called Seeing AI. Seeing AI does multitude of things. It can read printed text out loud at the exact moment the document is placed in front of the camera lens. Imagine the independence of reading your own mail instantly or any legal document without anybody's help. It can prescribe it can describe complex scenes in a park or a street. It can identify paper currency, denominations, etc. It utilizes facial recognition to announce the names of friends and family members who are standing. Uh, Beyond the handheld smartphones, the physical hardware is also evolving. We are moving towards a future of seamless integration, wearable technology, smart glasses, etc. At a recent technology summit, devices like Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses were prominently showcased. Now, these smart glasses are paired with accessibility applications like Be My Eyes. They follow they allow for something incredible and completely hands-free continuous auditory description of the user's surrounding. A person does not need to hold their phone. They simply speak a command and their glasses, they receive immediate audio description of the physical environment directly. Extensive users reports indicate that tools are fundamentally shifting daily life. They are granting individuals vastly greater autonomy in navigating grocery stores, utilizing public transit, etc. Now we must consider how AI is helping individuals who are deaf and of hard of hearing. For this community, the AI powered speech to text models have achieved remarkable levels of accuracy over the past few years. The delay between when a person speaks and the text appears on screen has drastically reduced. Tools like Google Live Transcribe are game changers. Furthermore, we have built in automated captioning services that come with standard video conferencing like Zoom and Microsoft Teams. This specific technology acts as critical bridge for inclusion. It ensures deaf student can fully equitably participate in an universal university classroom. It means employees can follow a fast-paced corporate board meeting. Modern hearing aids from global manufacturers no longer just make sounds louder. They also feature dedicated AI microchips embedded directly inside. These AI chips are trained to perform highly advanced acoustic noise separation. If a user is standing in a crowded, noisy restaurant, the AI chip can isolate human voices uh, while suppressing the chaotic, overlapping background noise. Furthermore, these smart hearing aids are now include life-saving AI-driven safety features. They are automatic fall detection. If a user suffers a physical collapse or falls down, AI inside the hearing aid detects a sudden change in motion and immediately alerts the emergency contacts. In the past, typing out sentences on devices could be slow and fatiguing. And I'm talking about people with physical impairments. Today, predictive text algorithms powered by large language models learn the user's vocabulary and suggest the exact words they use. Alongside smarter, highly natural sound AI voice models, it is now significantly faster for users to express their thoughts and participate in fluid conversations. In fact, I'll give you another example. I think you must have heard about 11 Labs. 11 Labs is one of those AI companies that allow you to clone your voice, and they are giving this free license to all people with a speech impairment, so that they can use either the automated voices available, or they can clone their own voice and use it for perhaps if I had got my license, I could have cloned my voice and had this entire speech delivered to you using AI. So there are such wonderful things happening, and people like AI 11 Labs is actually kind of reaching out to persons with disabilities. In fact, today I was contacted by them, and they kind of asked me if I have what disability I have. And when I said I have cerebral palsy, they said we will give you a free license. And then they said that one of the criteria for having this license is you should have speech impairment. I said I do not have a speech impairment. So then they said that they can't give me this license. But then I said, see, persons with cerebral palsy do have speech fatigue. Even if I have to speak for 1 hour here, I would surely have problems because things like sitting in one place, in one posture, can give me spasms, and that can affect my speech. So, after kind of really talking to them and making them understand what cerebral palsy is and the issues that arise from various disabilities, in the long term, have much different from what they perceive. So, I think finally they have agreed to give me a license. Let's see. They have said it on the telephone, but I'm waiting for a proper email. So these are some of the things that we need to really understand. And the integration of AI in public services in India, we have this department called Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, has recently launched a major digital and technology missions aimed specifically for aiding what they call differently abled citizens. This comprehensive mission includes explicit goals for the implementation of AI in assistive technologies. Among the most tangible ideas coming from these initiative is the concept of National Disability Support AI chatbot. Just imagine a virtual support interface designed to offer immediate round-the-clock information. A disabled citizen living in any corner of India can use this chatbot from their own home and get guidance, find out what schemes are there, what services they can avail, and even get any advice related to travel and hotel stay. Even more transformative for the landscape of Indian governance is to push towards unified benefits interface, what they call UBI. The goal here is to make digital and technological interactions between the person with disabilities and government completely seamless. This is something that they had, it is in the pipeline. We really need to see how it is going to be implemented and what really transpires. So we've spoken about some of the positive things about uh, AI, but we really need to get to the real crux of the problem. And the problem is to fully understand that digital transformation, uh, artificial intelligence systems are not human. And sometimes we really forget that. People chat with it and get feedback and think that somebody on the other side is also a human being. They do not possess human empathy. They seem to kind of say the right things, but the human empathy is missing. They do not possess independent, objective reasoning or common sense. At the core, they are massive statistical prediction engines, and they learn how to predict things entirely from historical data. This is where the major problem begins. If the historical data fed into these systems during their training phase does not accurately or proportionately represent the vast diversity of disability, the AI system draws a dangerous conclusion. It naturally begins to treat non disabled ways of speaking, moving, looking, and communicating as the sole acceptable normal standard. This phenomena is what researchers and ethicists call as algorithmic bias. Uh, Consider the modern employment sector. Finding job is hard, but AI is making it harder for disabled candidates. In contemporary recruitment, major global corporations utilize AI tools to automatically screen thousands of resumes. Even worse, they use AI to analyze micro expressions and vocal tones of candidates during automated video interviews. These automated systems have repeatedly audited and shown to be severely disadvantaged to disabled candidates. And why does this specific failure occur? Because the AI is trained to look for patterns associated with efficiency, focus, confidence based purely on non disabled behaviors. If the candidate has a chronological gap in their employment history, perhaps due to necessary medical procedure or period of physical rehabilitation, the AI automatically penalizes their resume and throws it into its digital trash. If the candidate is taking an interview and has atypical speech patterns, like I'm now stuttering, the AI lowers their score. If the autistic candidate lacks standard eye contact with the camera, assumes that they are not paying attention. This exact systemic issue also bleeds heavily into welfare, healthcare, and government benefits. In several developed nations, governments have deployed AI predictive algorithms specifically for the purpose of welfare fraud detection. They want the computer to tell them who is stealing from the system. But these systems have disproportionately and aggressively flagged disabled individuals for fraud investigations. A comprehensive analysis of the union credit card systems of UK found stark, undeniable disparities linked directly to disability status. The machine flagged these individuals not because they were committing fraud, because their pattern of income, their frequent medical visits, and their complex housing needs look statistically anomalous or weird compared to the able bodied majority. The technology struggles on a fundamental architectural level with human variation. Voice recognition software routinely fails with interacting with users who have dysthartic, I don't know how to pronounce this, DYSARTHRIC, speech, a stutter, or even a distinct regional accent. Why? Because the original training data provided to the AI simply lacked audio recordings of people with speech disorders or speech variations. Facial recognition softwares frequently fail to accurately identify people with facial differences or asymmetric features. There is a highly useful critical term for this specific pattern of technological harm. It is called technoableism. Scholars like Ashley Shue have written extensively about this. Techno-ableism, the pervasive belief that technology is always the answer and the total elimination or fixing of disability should be ultimate, unquestionable goal. It is a tendency of technological systems to appear incredibly empowering and helpful on the surface, while quietly reinforcing the societal assumption that disability is a tragic defect. Under techno-ableist mindset, developers build a software platform entirely for able-bodied default user. Then, right before the launch the product, they attempt to bolt accessibility features into the finished products as an afterthought. Instead of designing for human variation from the very beginning, they create rigid standard designs that lack flexibility to accommodate diverse human abilities. A recent massive benchmarking study called Access Eval tested that large language models, the researchers used a clever method. They would ask AI a neutral question, and then ask the exact same question while disclosing that the user had a disability. In fact, I have done this. When I read Access Eval, I uploaded my resume. I removed certain things and then asked if I were eligible for job. And it told me that because of my severe disability, I had also attached my medical certificate as an addition, and it just stuck with my medical certificate and said that I am not eligible for most jobs. And in fact, the job that I'm currently having, I was not eligible for that. So you can understand, what really happens here. The AI models heavily increase their reliance on stereotypes, treating disabled individuals as less capable or objects of pity. The module produced higher factual errors, giving misleading guidance and often produce patronizing language focusing only on overcoming a deficit rather than just answering the user's question. Here in India, this is not just an academic debate occurring in digital laboratories. It is a massive, urgent societal issue. More than 2.5 crore, I think, to a crore. I don't know how do you give it in you. 10 lakhs is 1
20
million.
million maybe?
No, yeah,
200 million?
yeah, around that much, yes.
Yeah.
So 200 million people with disabilities live in India. Uh, as a nation, currently stands at a higher formative stage shaping digital public infrastructure. The stakes could not possibly be higher. A government portal can technically be accessible, meaning a blind person can use a screen reader to navigate. But if the AI algorithm operates silently behind portal, routinely rejects disabled applicants for loans, jobs, and healthcare, then the system is fundamentally a failure. Accessible platforms built upon biased intelligence do not remove societal barriers. They simply move the barrier from the visible computer screen directly to the invisible algorithm. The critical takeaway of this section is this: artificial intelligence possesses immense power, but the power deployed without fairness simply becomes a highly efficient engine for discrimination. Understanding the depth of these problems naturally leads us to the solution. How do we fix it? The answer lies here in the vital, non negotiable concept known in computer science as the human in the loop. David Baines, a highly respected global accessibility specialist, has written and operated with great clarity on this subject. Through his work on global assistive technology projects, he has demonstrated the absolute necessary for user involvement. His methodology highlights a fundamental limitation of AI is greatly rapidly analyzing vast amounts of data. It can automate repetitive administrative tasks, but an AI cannot fully understand human context. An algorithm does not understand lived personal experience. It cannot comprehend the incredibly vast variation that exists even among two people who happen to share the exact same medical diagnosis. Artificial intelligence does not feel the cumulative impact of daily fatigue. It does not understand chronic pain. The human in the loop philosophy dictates that living, breathing people, and specifically persons with disabilities, must remain actively and continuously involved in every stage of AI development. This basically means that individuals must be the ones identifying the real problem that need solving in the first place. They must be the ones defining what actual success looks like. They must be intimately involved in testing the earlier prototypes. They must be involved in reviewing machines' decisions. This is especially critical in high stake areas. When an AI is making healthcare diagnostic decisions, screening candidates for a job, grading educational assessments, furthermore, there must be clear, transparent explanations provided for every AI decision, accompanied by an accessible, easy method for citizens to legally challenge that automated decision. If we remove humans from the loop, our society risks falling victim to something called automation bias. Automation bias occurs when human operators begin to trust the machine entirely too much. People stop questioning the computer. They assume that because a sophisticated, complex algorithm generated by the output is inherently accurate and objective. To prevent this dangerous reliance, strict regulations and clear operational rules are urgently needed. We need protocols dictating exactly when a human profession must take over a case from AI. For example, a human must manually intervene whenever AI's statistical confidence is low, whenever a citizen disputes the result, or wherever disability is a relevant factor in the individual's profile. Specialists stress that human involvement cannot be a mere public relations exercise. It cannot be tokenistic. It must be continuous. It must include highly diverse cost section of disability community, and crucially, these experts must be fairly compensated for their labor, time and insight. When disabled individuals are kept at the absolute center, the technology development, artificial intelligence transforms. That is the profound difference between technology that genuinely serves people and a technology designed merely to manage and control them. The original question that I posed at the beginning of the must now definitely be answered. Is artificial intelligence truly disabled friendly? Based on all the evidence reviewed today, the most honest and accurate answer is this. It possesses the immense potential to be, but it is unequivocally not there yet. The technology is already delivering high tangible real world benefits. The extraordinary progress should be opened, celebrated, and aggressively funded. The long term solution to this crisis is clear. Sorry. But at the same time, structural algorithmic bias, gaping holes in training data sets, and the systemic historical absence of disabled voices in the design phase continue to quietly manufacture entirely new forms of digital exclusion. The long term solution to this crisis is clear, and it requires immediate coordinated action across multiple sectors of society. We need massive financial institutional investments to curate diverse training data that accurately reflects human variation than treating disability as a mathematical error to be filtered out. I mean, actually, this is very easy to say, but in my research, I have found various algorithmic bias and misinformation given by AI. I have written to, the major LLMs that are available, Claude, Gemini, Grok, and etc., showing exactly where they have gone wrong. Actually, I have not received any email or a reply from them. That's really worrying because if they ignore, what is being said, I think we are really in a soup as people with disabilities. We really need to make a lot of noise. So today I make a direct call to all the major corporations and developers, AI models. Disability inclusion must be treated as a foundational, non-negotiable core requirement. It is not an optional feature to be added later to satisfy public relations. I also make a direct call to all government leaderships here in India and abroad because AI does not belong to just one country. It belongs to everybody. They should embed disability rights directly into all the AI policies. We need robust legal frameworks to draw upon. Here in India, we have Rights of the Person with Disabilities Act. We have the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And we have landmark legal precedents all over the world, all the Supreme Courts of US and India, which strongly reinforce accessibility as an absolute undeniable human right. This technology must reflect our laws. But High level policy corporate mandates do not have the avenues for change. What actions can ordinary citizens, professionals, and local organizations start taking today? I mean, this is what Ken wanted me to address when he sent that message. First, I think ask pointed questions. Whenever a new AI tool is introduced, uh, raise your hand and ask the administration directly, were disabled people actively involved in designing and rigorous testing of this specific software? Amplify what works. Actively support, utilize, and share the technologies that are genuinely empowering. Conversely, do not remain silent when the system fails. Report algorithmic failures publicly and consistently. I have a blog on this. I will share the link with you where I constantly write about it. Third, demand inclusive hiring. Strongly encourage local businesses, universities to hire and formally consult disabled subject matter experts whenever an AI project is being considered or project or purchased. Sorry. Change the vocabulary. When interacting with AI chatbots, use disability smart language. Frame your prompts and queries using the social model of disability and human rights language. Actively push back against the machine's default deficit thinking. And lastly, maintain the dialogue. Keep the specific conversation alive within grassroots disability advocacy groups across university campuses and everywhere disability is there. Artificial intelligence is going to continue growing at an exponential rate. That is a technological fact which is inevitable. We cannot stop it. The profound choice correctly standing in front of our society is whether that explosive historic growth will be deliberately directed to include everyone or whether it will be permitted to leave millions of individuals permanently behind. If persons with disabilities are kept firmly at the center, acting as the primary designers, the rigorous testers, the ultimate decision makers, and the final reviewers, then AI can absolutely become a genuine historic force for inclusion. The immense responsibility cannot be outsourced to an algorithm. It belongs collectively to people, the software developers, the government, and especially we, the person with disabilities. Yeah, thank you very much for your time and focus. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh. Much appreciated. And just to let people know, I did turn your cameras off only because Nilesh's camera wasn't on, so when the recording that would have caused some confusion. So we got a long way to go, Nilesh. We've probably got to get the disability advocates to kind of get behind on this more than they have at this point. You have been a voice speaking on your own to try to encourage these organizations, and it's concerning that they are not responding to you. I would certainly be willing to encourage our club with the name World Disability Advocacy to get involved, to become active in it, and to try to write to these organizations and to, with your guidance, point out to them where their faults are. And as you mentioned, AI is going to be growing. It's even more than it is today. It gets a little confusing now. There are so many of them popping up every day at this point. But I guess the place to start is the major ones, Nilesh. So I know you've given some advice on what we can do. I'm really concerned that we got to stop it before it gets out of control, Nilesh. So my question is, after all this rambling, is do you think government should get involved in AI?
I think for every software that is made, there are always policies. It's something is never is done in isolation or in a vacuum. So what we need to look at is does the policy have disability built into it? And my study of various policies, I think they have conveniently left out disability. They have mentioned accessibility, but accessibility is also very cursory. If you kind of read it, it doesn't really address many of the issues. So we have to go back to the drawing board and ask them to look at the CRPD and kind of base all their policies based on the CRPD philosophy. I think that is what needs to be pushed. And these are legal documents, so sometimes it's actually very difficult to navigate through them. uh, I do have I do not have a degree in law, but over the years that I have worked with law and policy, I am able to slightly navigate, but for me also it's a huge task.
Okay, yeah, because when any of the disability laws, ADA and all that kind of stuff, and the ones in India, AI was not even in their vision at that point. Um, so there's, and it's a global thing, so it's hard to even regulate it on a local level. Sorry, I got to.
No, no, it's like I said, it's a global thing, and most of the AI servers are based in the United States. So, even if they do follow the Americans with Disability Act as basis, I think many of the problems would be solved. But unfortunately, the corporates do not look at disability in a very positive way, and there are loopholes there that needs to be addressed. I think it's human in the loop kind of thing needs a very strong approach, and we need to kind of get as many people with disabilities looking at it, because my own experiences have shown me that if one doesn't frame the prompt very cleverly, the AI gives you the same rubbish that existed 20 years ago when people spoke about disability. So all the data that it has is antiquated. It's old data. It just throws at you without even knowing what it is saying. I have, in fact, on my blog, I've shared the blog. There is an article that I have written, how to kind of use AI and what kind of prompts you need to give, so you get a more social model disability related answer from it. If you kind of guide it, it gives you good answers, but you need to guide it very cleverly. Any old prompt doesn't work. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, you did. Anybody else have any questions? Please raise your hand, and we'll continue with that. So, again, I'm going to focus on the advocacy. So, Nilesh, what I think it would be helpful if somehow you could give us some talking points on this, so we can start talking about it more on the club's level, and maybe encourage other disability advocate organizations to do the same. If we can kind of be the guy on that, English.
Yeah, sure. The tricky part here is people with most people just use it very I don't know. The word blindly comes, but without even thinking. Unfortunately, our English language uses a lot of disability-related terms, to talk about things. So without even thinking. So we need to kind of be very particular as to what we are really looking at and find out what the bias exists. Because the corporates will not care if you don't give them what is wrong. So one has to be very careful, and I think as people with disabilities, we should start experimenting with all these models and ask it all kinds of questions related to disability and gather all the answers. It's a huge project that needs to be done, because otherwise, what will you write to the say Claude? It will say that okay, we've got the right answers. It is based on this, but how are you going to say that it is bias against people with disabilities?
Mm.
because even sometimes it words very the wordings is also very clever when it comes and gives you answers. So I think we need to do a lot of research on that, and this will cost some money perhaps, and some work. We need a lot of people to look at it, and also we can add what we can start advocating is people who are already working in this field. We need to kind of sensitize them on what disability is all about, and I have been having a lot of problems in that. I have written, in fact, I recently did a very advanced course on AI. And one of the projects that I took up, people were designing software saying that, they will solve this problem, that problem. My project was completely around the bias in AI. And you'll be surprised, it was not accepted. The project was not accepted. I
Wow.
had to ultimately kind of make some software that, I would never use.
Wow.
So
So,
people need to start thinking differently. As an activist, it came something
hmm
that came very naturally to me. This project. But for the software developers, what the hell are you doing? That was the kind of reaction.
hmm Amy, you have your hand up?
Yes. Was thinking, is it is it more of a problem that AI basically does not have any moral values plugged into it? Because, I mean, if I compare like myself to 5 other people who don't have the disabilities and health conditions I have, quite honestly, they're going to make better sense for a job. Like if you take the moral concerns out of it, and you're just looking for the best worker bee. But I think the question has to be, who the question that keeps coming up, I think, is who has value. And that's more of a moral question. So I guess in a way, I'm not surprised that we're having this problem with AI. But I also think that when we focus on people's value to us physically and mentally, then that's a very dangerous path to go down because we've done that before. Um, there's an educational philosopher I've read many times, and she talks about how right before um, the Holocaust, Germany's education system had changed a lot. And she said that um, people with disabilities were targeted during the Holocaust. And so, if you weren't good to the state physically or mentally, where was your value? And I think that's a question that at the moment AI can't answer because some of our biggest problems with AI come down to moral concerns. Like, for instance, we've got people who are using AI as their therapist, and then AI is telling them that they should go kill themselves.
Yeah, the question here is not about models. It's about whose models.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, history is being conveniently rewritten everywhere based on who's in power. So, it's happening in India also. It's happening in everywhere in the world. So, people with disabilities are indirect victims here, without
Mm-hmm.
even people realizing that people with disabilities are victims. So that's why I am the whole concept of what I talk about human in the loop. You have to be there, you have to make noise, you have to be heard, and you have to be heard in such a way that people accept what you're saying. Just being heard is not enough. So that's what I'm trying to kind of propose, and let's see how it goes. There is another thing which I have, not mentioned, is that you can train your own LLMs. If you have the right resources, you can do it. It's called a RAG, RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and I have been using it. I have got a decent PC, so what I have been doing it as it's my own personal experimentation, and I want to kind of take it a little more further. I have downloaded all the Supreme Court and High Court orders, uh, and kind of made a complete list, and then I am looking at each order and asking it, is it UNCRPD uh, compatible? Does it follow the concept, the philosophy of the UNCRPD? And some of the orders that I found was uh, that what the judge was doing is he was trying to get some kind of a brownie point, saying that, giving some thing for the disabled, some sop here and there, and making it seem that they have done wonderful work. Now, I don't know how controversial this is going to be, but this is the what I am doing, and using AI to kind of battle bias that is existing there. But I'm telling them that, follow this philosophy and, look at it from this perspective. I think we can't do that. I don't know, but it does cost money, and it takes a lot of time to do it also. But it can be done. If it can be done on, say, 20 orders, 30 orders, I'm sure the entire data that is there on AI, somebody can work on it. I hope I answered your question. I mean, I don't know.
I think if anything, you've given me a lot to think about. Because it becomes such a philosophical question, I think, in a lot of ways.
I am not really, I mean, looking at it as a philosophical question. I am looking at more as a question of diversity. Is everybody being looked at and addressed? I mean, if that is the basic premise of everything you do, I think then philosophy is secondary, because then you are actually looking at everybody and then understanding the differences and accepting it without being
So
judgmental.
instead of focusing on, I would say, the philosophical issues that cause it, you're focusing on proving that that AI has a bias, that AI is not giving people with disabilities the same opportunities. And so by proving that, then you don't have to address philosophical concerns that have led to it. You're proving that it's unfair.
Yes. See, the moment you bring philosophy, religion also comes into place. And when you get
Exactly.
religion, I mean, it's crazy. It goes crazy. So instead of
Yeah.
going that way, I mean, I'm just asking them basic questions. Where am I? Why am I not being addressed? I think that is more than enough to kind of get things start working on, like.
No, I think you're right. I think that if you tried to start with the philosophy side, then you'd end up with a whole lot of people in rooms discussing things and not doing anything. But it does give you a lot to think about, because I think in a lot of ways, AI is a reflection of who we are in some ways as a society. Because I mean, it's the creation of our own genius.
Yes.
So does it really grow beyond the creators? I mean, all of the data comes from us.
Yes, that's what I mean. We need to start questioning ourselves and start questioning our own data. I think, AI will follow suit. It is not intelligent enough to kind of create its own data. I mean, it gives you some rubbish, but if you look at it carefully, it is rubbish. So you can't really, be dependent on it. People use it for all things. I mean, I've seen people doing their PhD thesis on it, and I've come, worked and looked at the plagiarism that exists and AI written. But that's a different question. But what we are here looking at is how is disability being addressed? In fact, I have just started working on a program that I was supposed to kind of submit. Then I said they are not looking at the AI bias project that I have. Then why don't I create something different? So what I am doing is I am going to just give a URL to the AI, say like www.something.com, and then ask it how accessible are the web pages? Does it comply with the WCAG standards? Give me the complete run up of where it has gone wrong, and it's working. So I mean, and it gives you completely things, and it tells you exactly which code needs to be changed and how much change needs to be done. I'm working on it. It's just my beta now. I think it will take me another month, and I will open source it and put it on GitHub for everybody to use.
Nice.
So we'll take a few more minutes here. If anybody else has any other questions for Nilesh, we welcome you to raise your hand and ask them. And so Nilesh, How does these companies, then let's look at Google and Microsoft, set up their AI? Is it a department of the company, or do they set it up as a separate company?
No, actually, I am not really in a position to answer that. But from
Okay.
what I know, they just scrounge the net for information. Whatever exists on the net, the good, bad, the ugly, they just kind of take stock of everything, and then they feed it to the AI. And the
Okay.
AI kind of makes whatever it needs to kind of analyze and do things.
So the point
So
I'm
whatever
getting,
is on the net, whatever is on the internet, it's all there with AI now.
okay, so what I'm getting to, when you wrote to them, did you write to Microsoft and did you write to Google or did you write to their AI?
I wrote to the department that is looking at AI,
Okay.
and the main person who is kind of like Bill Gates, in Microsoft, and then the the concerned departments.
It would be
I
interesting.
didn't get any feedback from anyone. I didn't write to Bill Gates, but I'm just
Okay.
giving an example.
It would be interesting to get one of these companies if they'd be willing to come to us and talk about it from their standpoint, which I'll try to do. We actually have the name of the accessibility chair, accessibility director, and in Microsoft. And we wrote to him on another issue where we felt it was ableism, and he responded, and they took care of it. So I can actually write to him and see if anybody would be willing to come in and talk to us about the friendliness, disability friendliness of AI at Microsoft.
I could share the letter that I sent to them, so
Okay.
that you could, either send it again or rewrite, or do whatever you think best.
Yeah, we'll figure what we want to do, but we do have a gentleman who's supposedly in charge of accessibility at Microsoft, and he was responsive to us, so maybe he'll respond again.
Yeah. But there is
Okay.
another issue that comes. Most of these Microsoft things are closed source. And they are some of them you need to pay. I have a completely different philosophy on that thing, saying that open source the whole thing, make it free and easily accessible.
Hmm.
So that's another, it's slightly different from what you're saying, but uh, yeah.
Okay, very cool. If nobody else has any questions for Nilesh, much appreciated, sir, for coming and talking to us about this. It's something that needs to be much more to talk about. We need to encourage much more organizations to speak up about it. And we certainly will share the recording of this meeting to other people. So thank you, Nilesh.
Yeah. Sorry for the camera.
No problem.
Ah.
All right. Thanks. Take care. Take care, everybody.